Hockey fans, welcome to NYI FYI with Sam Croft and Chris Hessel.
Welcome to NYI FYI. Hessel live here at NYIFYI.com, live on YouTube. For those of you who are listening in podcast, thank you for joining us tonight, even after the fact. Big night for NYI FYI. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sean. How about you?
I'm doing great. We're going to have a great show tonight. We're talking about the sale of the New York Islanders, the news that people had been waiting on for so very long. Some good, some bad,
right.
But hey,
and we'll
it is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some devil's advocate to play there. But at the end of the day, it is the news that we've all been, waiting for and talking about as potentially being a good thing for this team going forward. And we'll go through some of that later when we get to that. But definitely kind of cool to be able, having gone back to last year when we were talking about the rumors and everything. Just once again, just like a lot of things that happened with this team, seemingly coming out of nowhere with this news. After the other sale with the guy that name's been here for months, really fell apart, and to an extreme too.
Big time. Oh boy, has there been
like,
some fallout from this?
Oh yeah, long ago that Bob McKenzie went on his Twitter account and one very, very, very early morning in March. It was like 1:00 a.m.
I remember.
Saying Charles Wang, not necessarily an imminent sale of the Islanders coming, but that he was listening to offers and people were stepping up. It certainly sounds like that there were more than one group of people, people or groups of people, I should say, that were interested in buying this team. And certainly a very lucrative opportunity for anybody owning the team as they head into Brooklyn next year. At the end of the day, Charles Wang gets a deal where he gets to have his cake and eat it too and stay on for 2 more years.
Which we kind of had thought might happen. We had talked about this a couple of months ago when they announced the team had been put up for sale, or that they were at least fielding offers, and we had said that and even going back a few years, as far back as the day that they announced the Brooklyn trade and we had the Brooklyn move and we had our show, we said we would find it hard to believe that Charles Wang would just sell majority 100% and be gone, knowing that there's so much money to be had in Brooklyn, and apparently that's exactly what this is. He retains the majority ownership until 2016, then he becomes a minority owner but still holds on to a piece of the team.
Right, absolutely. And that's what I'm worried about with the Barroway thing, that was a rumor that, he's trying to still be a majority owner, but be a minority. He'll still have the say, but be a team, and it was just such a weird situation. The way that, like you just explained, the way that this works out. So I guess the big question is a good thing, and I know a lot of people are in the way that the Barroway ended, which it's still not over because it's in lawsuit mode right now.
Right.
But a lot of people realizing from that you probably can't. It's hard to, be excited because of the way that Charles Wang handled things through Barroway, and to me, I'm in finance, I'm in business. Charles Wang is a businessman. And we've seen this from him throughout the years. I mean, this is just how he goes about business. Do I think that he'll do anything sketchy between now and 2 years from now, which is what everybody's fear is? Absolutely not. Again, this guy's a businessman. This guy signed players to backloaded contracts, I think with the expectation that he wasn't planning on paying them.
Right.
This guy... any contract that they were signing now, backloaded contracts, and I think that's without the intention of paying them, or realizing that he's going to have people helping him to pay for these. And after the Andrew Barroway thing and seeing how things work, Charles Wang is 70 years old. Okay, this is not a guy who's going to want to be doing this forever. So 2 years, he'll be 72 when it's over. John Ledecky and Scott Malkin will take over majority ownership of the team. There's still a question of, will Charles Wang be a minority owner? Will he be involved at all? Will he just completely go away? You know, and I know a lot of people are in that mode of we just want him completely gone. We don't even want him as a minority owner. You know, how much say is he going to have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are the three of them going to just split it up 33% each and have an equal say? You know, and that'll be questions that we'll have to see in 2 years. So I certainly get where a lot of people are coming from, where if they view this as a good thing, you know, if they viewed getting rid of or getting a new owner as a must, I can see where people would feel a little bit skeptical because of a lot of the stuff that's happened. But at the same time, you know, this guy's not going to want to screw anything up. This guy doesn't want to go it alone. You know, even though Brooklyn is very lucrative for him, he doesn't want to go it alone. He doesn't want to keep doing this. And you could see from last year when, you know, he was leaving games early or not attending some of them and looking very tired and exhausted and going through some surgery, you know, on his arm that he had last year. You know, I think that he's at that point of his life where he knew he wasn't going to do this for the rest of his life. He's not going to be an owner of a sports team until he's 90 years old. A lot of guys aren't. A lot of guys lose patience. Whether you believe or not that he's hemorrhaged money, and although I've said I don't think he's quite lost as much money as he leads people to believe, but I definitely do think that there was some sort of a financial loss on his end. There certainly was a loss on any money that he invested in trying to get the refurbished Nassau Coliseum and surrounding area, you know, and that definitely took a toll. You know, similar to the way that you see with the president. I mean, this guy definitely aged a lot, you know, in the 15 years that we've really seen him. You know, and like I said, part of that's just from the aggravation of dealing with the team and doing what things like that and taking flack for it, but you know, and then the whole Nassau County thing. So I don't think that he's going to do anything. I really don't have. I mean, you know, if it takes him just being on for 2 years, that's fine. I mean, he's got minority owners now. They bought a significant minority,
yes,
which is a very key idea. And if he got anywhere close to what he was asking from Barroway for a minority ownership of that team, or at least for a chunk of that'll turn into a majority when they give him the rest of the money, which that reported amount was $550 million, then there is no way that he's going to screw this up for himself. Because if he's walking away with $550 million for his franchise that hasn't won a playoff round since 1993.
Yeah, it's been 21. We're going on 22 years.
Well, then he would be pretty stupid and not a very good businessman to do that and to jeopardize that. And you know what? Regardless of how ethical some of his things have been, and regardless of what some of the people that used to work for him at Computer Associates have said, this guy became a billionaire because of the way that he does business. And there is no way in my mind that he's going to screw up a $550 million thereabouts sale of a franchise that, quite frankly, I'm shocked would be worth that much to someone. But you know, Brooklyn alone is really playing on these guys, you know, especially John Ledicke being from Brooklyn, his excitement for owning this team.
The television contract,
of course.
contract,
right? You know, I mean, what did he pay for 70? 175? I mean, he just made.
I think he paid
on that investment.
I think he paid, what was it? Like he paid like 143 or 150 or something small.
Now,
for the
granted,
team.
yeah, okay, he lost some amount of money over the last 10 years, right? Okay. He makes that up with whatever he gets from the sale, and then he gets to share in the profits last year at the Coliseum, right? You know, which they'll definitely cash in some on.
Yeah.
And then in the first year in Brooklyn, which he'll probably cash in on some, just as it's a new idea and just similar to the way the Nets made a lot of money in their first year, not quite as much in the second year. But you know, absolutely, I think that, you know, he's sticking on just to get his money, and I think that that's strictly what he's trying to do there. And I don't think that he's going to do anything to jeopardize or annoy these people. I don't see this as the same way as the committee that he tried to do with Neil Smith and all that.
John Ledicke has experience doing this. He was one of the owners of the Washington Capitals in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he's been to the table, and he took a team that had struggled, that hadn't made money, that was not profitable. He made them profitable. He got out because he had made, I think, what he had said, he had made his 7-figure profit,
yes.
And then he got out of it. And it, you know, since then, and I think it was 2001 or 2002,
yes.
It was quite some time ago, but he's been trying to buy a team
Absolutely.
for that long.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
This is a guy that is serious about owning a sports franchise.
Sports, and I'm glad you brought up sports, not just hockey. This guy tried to buy the Cincinnati Reds. He's tried to buy the Oakland Athletics. He's tried to buy the New Jersey Devils. He was involved with the Memphis Grizzlies, trying to buy them. This is a guy who is just a sports lover from Brooklyn. And the thing a lot of people were freaking out about, why was he only a minority owner for 2 years of the Washington Capitals? He was just selling it. He just wanted to make a profit on it. But at the same time, it was something very common. And it's still something very common. A minority owner buys a team and flips it a couple of years later to a guy who wants the majority control of the team. And Ted Leonsis wanted majority control of the Washington Capitals. John Ledicke had other business ventures that he wanted to go into and said, listen, this is nice for me, but I want something of my own.
Right.
If Ted Leonsis is the guy who wants to do this, I'll give it to him, and I'll go out on my own and look for something else. And that was, kind of the way that it went about it. Scott Malkin's the guy with all the money.
Yeah.
Scott Malkin's the billionaire here. Owns similar to the way on Long Island we have like the Tanger outlets. He owns a series of outlet malls that are all over Europe. They just opened 2 of them, I think, in China. They got 1 in England. They're high-end retail. His father and his brother own real estate in Manhattan. One of their biggest pieces that they own is the Empire State Building. So this is a family, the Malkin family, that definitely has money and an understanding of going big, if you will. And if they deem it, obviously Ledicke must have some sort of a plan that he's pitched to Scott Malkin to get Malkin to be on board with this.
Right.
It's definitely good to have, I know a lot of people get freaked out with group ownerships, but you got one guy who loves sports and is in it to win it type of thing, and I love that passion that he has. And at the same time, you got a guy with deep pockets who buys into that theory, and I think that can only mean good things. The Islanders aren't just going to go out all of a sudden and start trading for every superstar and signing big contracts the next couple of years, and that has nothing to do with Charles Wang. But I think that this team is going to be more willing to do what you saw them do with Mikhail Grabovski and Nikolai Kulemin. This is the year that the Islanders finally went out, and they got the big free agents that they really needed. I mean,
and when they did that, we came on this show and we said, Barroway's pulling the strings on these deals.
Yeah, well, we really thought.
Because we believed it was him, but clearly somebody was behind something. We knew it's not, not to totally insult.
At the time, it was supposed to be Barroway if you read the timeline in the lawsuit, but yeah.
Not to totally insult these guys, but at the time, it was Barroway, and when you look at it, this is not what the Islanders do.
No, they don't.
The Islanders go out and go
$50 million.
No, they don't spend $50 million on top-end free agents. They don't.
Or even B-level ones. I mean, they went out and got a top goaltender. They went out and got some of the better B-list guys that you could get. I mean, we've had several years, where we was going, why can't they even sign a B-level guy? I'll take a C-level guy, instead of ended up with the John Sims of the world. Not that he was a terrible get, but
not on July 1st,
right,
when Ryan Smith is signing elsewhere and Jason Blake is signing elsewhere.
It took 4 days that year for us to get Bill Guerin and those B free agents, and then since then the Islanders have not signed one B list free agent to at least help with the core, or to at least be a supplemental player. I mean, they found Grabner through waivers and stuff like that, and Garth working obviously through his limitations. And it's going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people are upset that this obviously means that Garth and Capuano get to stay around for 2 years. I don't buy that argument for Capuano. No. I buy it, though, for Garth. And you know what? We've been saying you got to give the guy a chance with some real money, because, he was given real money this offseason, obviously from someone, be it Barroway, be it Wong saying, I'm not paying for it anyway, so go spend it and I'll find somebody who wants to chip in for it. Yeah. But he went out and was able to land Yaroslav Halak, Grabovski,
tried to get Dan Boyle,
tried to get
Brad Richards,
tried to get
Jerome McGinley.
He's still trying to go out and find a defenseman. Is it Johnny Boychuk? Is it Johnny Oduya? Is it, break the bank and go for Nicholas Chalmerson? I mean, there's a lot of names that are out there that are still being talked about. There's a lot of work that still has to be done. The Islanders do sound like they are still looking for that defenseman. So they're not done yet spending the money for this offseason. And I think that with the ability to now be a little bit more open with that, you'll see the Islanders be able to drop some of the dime on B-list free agents, no problem, just like they did with Kulemin and Grabovski. Are those guys overpaid? Absolutely. Is every B-level guy that's signed overpaid?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let's be real. Every unrestricted free agent is overpaid.
I feel like B-level
in every
guys,
sport.
absolutely. I mean, look at what Ballin commanded. Look at what Camilleri commanded. I mean, all of these guys that we talk about. A few years ago, we wanted Daniel Zubris, and then he got a big deal from the Devils, and it's like, who wants to pay him $4 million a year? Well, apparently the Devils do. I mean, this is what it takes. You're always going to be in that $4 to $5 million range. It looks like on average for the B-level guys. The Islanders went out and they added 2 guys like that, and guess what? They helped this team. They absolutely helped this team.
Yeah.
This
team right now is 10 wins better than they were.
I would say so.
Without stepping on the ice. When you can say you are there's a double-digit differential in the wins and losses column before you play a game, that's huge.
Right. So I think it's exciting. It's an exciting thing. It's something to look forward to. Yeah, the Islanders haven't been as thrifty with that kind of stuff, and a lot of people pointed at ownership for that, and regardless of how you feel, and it's the message that's being sent out. You look at a lot of the media types, and of course you take a lot of that with a grain of salt, but the Katie Strangs of the world and the Craig Costances of the world and the Pierre LeBruns of the world were all saying, it was time. It was really, and it really is time. And now that this team's going on to bigger and better things, and you're looking at all the positive articles that have come out since this announcement of this new ownership structure, it's a lot of good news. A lot of people like what the Islanders did this offseason. I like what the Islanders did this offseason. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, we all wanted the Islanders to be sold completely this summer. I mean, we're just as guilty as everybody else, but at the same time, I don't see this as a bad thing. I don't see this as getting screwed up anyway. And I just don't. I think it would be cutting his nose off to spite his face if he went off and did that. A lot of people will say, well, he had to go out and add Yaroslav Halak anyway. He needed a goaltender. He would have done that. Yes and no. I don't think he would have also dropped, all that other money on those other guys. And it's funny when you look at what was happening on day one when they were signing, guys like Corey Conacher and T.J. Brennan, especially T.J. Brennan. People were saying, oh, here it is, same old Islanders. And we said, well, it's July 1st. Let's wait. Let's see what goes on. They lost out on a lot of their other targets, but they still fixed the depth that they needed in getting Conacher and getting Jack Skille and getting T.J. And now that they make all these moves, they got a logjam up front. Are they going to use some of that to go out and get that defenseman? It's nice to be able to talk about things like this now, knowing what the future holds than it was half a year ago even.
Yeah, because let's be real. This is not a conversation that we have had in the history of this show.
No, this is such a weird feeling. I remember my reaction the other day when it was announced. I was like, wow, there is a difference here. There is a light.
Yeah, and it's how often did we say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but is it the light from an oncoming train?
Right.
That's not the case anymore.
Right.
And it's the first time in a long time that we've been able to say that. And you know what? I believe that this sale is good. Some people wondered, is it good? I think it's more than good. I think it's great. I think it means a future. I think it means steady playoffs. I think it means the ability to go out and sign the players we need to sign to make this team better. We did that so far this season. One of those guys is joining in about 90 seconds. And that's going to be Jack Skille, new member of the New York Islanders. Stick around. Jack Skille coming up on NYI FYI. We'll be right back.
NYI FYI. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Sean, and you've been listening to me talk about Cardboard Memories in Comac for years. A lot of you have checked it out, and that's awesome. But for those of you who haven't, what are you waiting for? Cardboard Memories has everything you want. Sports memorabilia, movie memorabilia. He's got old press passes, old pins if you're into collecting that kind of thing. If you need something authenticated, Scott is the guy to go to. I guarantee it. Look, I've added a ton of stuff to my collection, and there's nowhere else I'd rather shop than Cardboard Memories in Comac in the Pepper Tree Commons. They got all the info right now at cardboardmemories.com. You've got to check them out.
Have a question? The forum at NYIFYI.com. Have a comment? The forum at NYIFYI.com. Have a concern? The forum at NYIFYI.com. Need a date for the night? You might want to look somewhere else. But when it comes to hockey, let your voice be heard. Check out the forum at NYIFYI.com. Chat with hockey fans from all over the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Membership is free, so log on and be heard. The forum at NYIFYI.com.
Jack of All Trades Productions, Long Island's premier full-service post-production company, specializing in wedding videos, corporate videos, music videos, and film. Jack of All Trades Productions is there for all your post-production needs. Jack of All Trades Productions uses Avid Media Composer to bring finesse and style to your project, with experience in color correction, as well as sound editing and design. For more information, log on to jackizo.com. That's JACKIZO.com. Again, that's JACKIZO.com. Jack of All Trades Productions.
Welcome back to NYI FYI. Sean Croft and Chris Hessel live here on a Sunday night talking New York Islanders hockey. Sunday, August 24th. Big week for us. Of course, we're talking about all the news that the Islanders made this week in regards to the sale and the new ownership taking over in 2016. Of course, the NYI FYI breakaway to Disney. For those of you who haven't heard about it yet, we're going to Walt Disney. Well, we're trying to send a sick child and their family to Walt Disney World. The Dream Team Project, working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Chris and I are going to run the Cow Harbor race here in Northport on Long Island. So you guys can donate to the cause by jumping over to nyifyi.com. We have the donation pages live, or of course you can run with us. And if you run with us, we set you up with a donation page. The hope is that if you run with us, you can secure $100 in donations. And if we get enough people going, we can help pay for a trip, and it's a great cause.
Absolutely a great cause, and it's any little bit helps. So it definitely gives us some motivation to do a good job with this. But it's something very cool, a way to help a family in need.
And there's one person that's been tweeting about this quite a bit, and that is one of the newest members of the New York Islanders, Jack Skille. Jack, how are you tonight? And joining us live on Skype is one of the newest members of the New York Islanders, Jack Skille. Jack, how are you tonight?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Like we said, one of the newest members of the New York Islanders. How excited are you to be here?
I'm really excited. I got my fiance lives in New York City. She has for the last 10 years. So for me to be able to go close to her, it's good. It's a good situation off the ice. But I've always kind of wanted to be in the New York area, and I've always enjoyed what the New York Islanders have done in the past as far as picking guys up. They look like a good team. Know a few guys on the team, and I'm excited to start for sure.
All right. Well, you mentioned a couple of New York. You wanted to be in the New York area. There are like 3 teams in the New York area, so thank you for choosing this one. We do appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to be there.
Yeah, because we do need, the size, the grit, everything that you bring to the table. Because this is something that this team has kind of lacked for the most part for a few years. Somebody to go out and protect guys like John Tavares. So what is your goal coming here? What are you most excited to do?
Well, make a name for myself and obviously help the team in whatever way I can. That means penalty killing. Penalty killing, 5-on-5, providing offense, hitting, using my size, my speed, my shot. I spent some time in the minors last year, so I revamped my skill game a little bit. I'm not a skilled player, but I can be at times. So I definitely looking forward to playing within that lineup. I know there's a lot of good players. It should be a good team. I know playing against them when I was with Florida, hard team to play against. Really had trouble against that top line, and it should be exciting to see that firsthand this coming year.
Jack, when you look at the team, you mentioned that the Islanders have done a pretty good job the last couple of years of adding players. This summer, they had you on day 1, Mikhail Grabovski and Nikolai Kulemin coming in day 2. There's a lot of forwards on this team. There's something like 15 forwards that are battling for just 12 spots. What do you have to do personally to make sure that you're one of the 12 forwards that'll be on this team opening night?
Well, like I said, do whatever I can do within the opportunity that I'm given. Like I said, when I was in Florida, I was a third-line shutdown guy. I killed a little bit. I'm looking forward to that opportunity. Hopefully I get somewhat of a chance there in training camp to prove myself there. I know with my size and my speed, I'd be able to, recover quickly and the penalty kill, block shots, and be gritty offensively 5-on-5 and shut down, the other team's top lines. So Obviously, last year playing with Columbus, I got a great opportunity on the first line during the playoffs for all 6 of the games we played. I really enjoyed the playoff hockey, the speed. It suited my game really well. And like I said, I bring size, speed, my shot, grittiness, drive the net. I play physical, and just like you guys said, it's something that I think the Islanders definitely have needed over the past few years. So I'm hoping to provide that for sure.
Can you take us a little bit through the free agent process? This is the second time you've been through it. Last year it took maybe about a week before you latched on with Columbus. This year, you're landing with the Islanders on the first day. Did the process get any easier? Was it better having gone through it and understanding more what to expect from it?
No, actually, it hasn't gotten easier. It was funny because after last season ended, I had great exit meetings with Columbus. They really enjoyed me as a player. My attitude just with being sent down, I didn't pout, didn't do anything, just put my head down and worked through it, and did really well down there in the minors. Got my fair share of call-ups. Did really well when I was up, and they were really happy with me the way I played in the playoffs. So. The way things kind of ended there was like, I'm going into free agency, but I liked the opportunity they gave me, and thought I was going to be able to make a home in Columbus, and that didn't happen. It just for whatever reason it fell through. But like I said, in the end, New York Islanders definitely they've been on my radar, my personal radar. Hopefully, I've been on their radar for the last few years, and I'm really excited to be a part of the organization.
Now, I got to ask you, being a guy that has played in the league and has been sent down, when you did get sent down last year and you said you were able to get called up and you got that feel for playoff hockey, what type of experience is that for a player that has experience in the league to be sent down? Because more than 9 out of 10 of us that watch this league are never going to know what that is like. So, only because we have the opportunity to ask you, what is that type of experience? What kind of, how does it motivate you? How does it drive you?
Well, it's like, your boss and your job pulling you to the office and saying you're not good enough. We're going to demote you. So that's kind of how it feels initially. It feels like a major demotion. It's definitely you got to eat your humble pie and go down there and have a great attitude and try to be a leader. Obviously, with me and my NHL experience at that point, 3.5 years played in the NHL consistently, being sent down. Obviously, I had some advice and experience to offer to the younger guys, and I went down there with that attitude. I just wanted to show my work ethic, not only to the coaches and the GMs of Columbus, but I wanted my teammates down there to see, even though I've been demoted, I wanted to make sure that I sent the right message to my teammates. And also for me, it was a good experience. It ended up being a blessing in disguise. You get a chance to find your offensive game again. And I went down there, and it was kind of, totally different than my role in the NHL was for the previous 3 years. It was, first line, first power play. I was playing 18 to 20 minutes a night, and I was getting a ton of ice time. I was racking up points, and I was getting confident. And for me personally, confidence is key. I think it's key for anybody in any sport. And I went down there and gained some confidence, got a call up, and started scoring when I was called up, and try to stick around. They dealt with some roster issues with too many guys in the roster. So they were trying to keep me up, and circumstances didn't help it out. Even though my play was great, so I think it was a blessing in disguise overall. That entire season, being demoted, finding my offensive game, and then at the end of the year, they calling me up and putting me with that line for all 6 games in the playoffs against the Penguins. It was quite the experience in playoff hockey. That was my first time playing playoff hockey. That was unreal. I hope to get back there soon.
Now you go down, you come back up, you're thrown into the playoffs, and I think a lot of us felt that you guys in Columbus, you really had a chance of bouncing the Penguins. And I think that a lot of the reason why the Penguins, they obviously, Malkin and Crosby couldn't get it going, but I think a big reason why they got bounced by the Rangers was because you guys ran them so hard. So, you know, you go down, you come back, you're in the playoffs. This is a team here on Long Island, and then Brooklyn moving forward, that does not have a lot of playoff experience. So what are you looking to bring to the table and teach some of these guys? Because a lot of these guys that are on this team have only been to the playoffs one time. So what are you looking to bring and show these guys? Because you guys played so well against the Penguins. Similar, we played them great the year before. So what are you looking to bring as far as playoff experience and showing these guys how to do it?
Well, you know, my favorite part about playoffs, you know, the first game was the hardest for me because it was like I didn't know what I was getting into. I know I played, you know, numerous NHL games. I knew the pace of play, but I also heard from previous guys that the pace of play was, you know, to another level. So I was a little nervous my first few shifts. I remember sitting in the locker room after the first period and kind of going, all right, I can do this. And I remember thinking, I have the green light to absolutely run around. And I'm going to run around here, and I'm going to hit everything that moves. And I'm going to play as fast as I can and just get, you know, 35, 40 seconds, get off the ice. And that's just every time I hop the boards, it was just like, you know, run somebody or drive the net or get the puck and make a smart play. But it's so intense and so much fun at the same time. That you really get to see, you know, playoffs really, it magnifies everybody else's play. It's like you see who the real guys are in the lineup. You know, Jack Johnson was getting, you know, a lot of grief from fans or whoever all year, and then, you know, he was a D-man for the good portion of the playoffs there that just shined, and it was kind of like you see who has it, who's a playoff type of player, and for me, it was awesome. It was good to see those true colors out of my teammates, but also not only feel comfortable out there, but it feel like I played extremely well and it helped a lot with my confidence.
This is what we need.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it is that we need. This is what we've been missing for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jack. It's funny you're talking just to kind of keep with this theme with the playoffs, and you guys were 6 games with the Penguins. The Islanders the year prior were 6 games with the playoffs. As Sean alluded to, they're entering a big year right now, where they had a disappointing year last year, couldn't get back to the playoffs, and last year at Nassau Coliseum. You say you know some of the guys in the team and have been in touch with some of them. Is there what kind of a message is being sent either by other players or management and coaches, you know, from the day that you signed here to now? Has there been much of a message as far as what needs to happen for the New York Islanders and how important this year is?
Well, I had a chance. I made sure I went out there for a week. I was out in Long Island for a week there a few weeks back. I had a chance to train with the weight guys and train with a few Matt Martin and a few other guys, Casey Cizikas, and you know, it was good for me to get into that environment and see what they're expecting of players. Obviously, like you brought it up. You know, I'm expecting a really intense training camp. I'm expecting coaching staff and the weight trainers and everybody to be expecting guys to come in tip-top shape, ready to go right out of the gate. You know, I know part of it was they want to make sure their younger guys are developing and getting bigger, and you can see that. And I like their off-ice workouts. I like their training methods and everything. And you know, it's really exciting. It's like, you know, this, you know, it's like I said, I spoke of the past when I played against the Islanders. You guys have been the Islanders have been so close for the last, you know, 2-3 years, you know, and good teams, depth, every single year. And it's kind of like I've told people, like, I can't believe they, you know, didn't go further, you know, especially last year. And you know, it's interesting. I think when you go through those hiccups like that, when you go through injury problems, all that stuff, the organization as a whole, you learn. And you see that throughout the league. Organizations have learned from their mistakes, their injuries, everything like that. And I think the Islanders, it looks like they're on the right page, right track. And for my week in Long Island, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed working hard with those guys, and you know, they seem like great people. So, like I said, I'm really excited.
It's funny you talk about the that they were just always right there, and it's too, it's surprising that they are not able to take that next step and everything. A reason that everybody says, puts that on is the goaltending. Last couple of years, you were in Columbus last year as a division rival, so you get to see some of it. So the Islanders go out, and before July 1st, they add, Yaroslav Halak on July 1st, along with yourself. They add Chad Johnson. Completely revamped the goaltending. I know Halak was only with St. Louis for 1 year when you were with Chicago, but from what you've seen of this guy over the last few years, doing what he was doing with the Blues, you think that this is a guy that can really, this can be the guy in net that'll help take the Islanders to that next step?
Absolutely. He's a good goaltender, but you got to remember too, that's the hardest position on the ice. That guy is out there for the full 60, and anything goes wrong, he's the first guy to blame.
Yeah,
he is. I mean, I feel bad for those guys because you see some of the times, some goals go in, and you can just, especially the goalies in Toronto, they're getting the worst of it every single season.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think Halaki's a great goaltender. I think Johnson's a good goaltender. I think we got some depth in that position, but I think. Knowing guys and the character that it seems the Islanders they've tried to pick up in free agency this past summer is, these guys are guys that work hard and they try to get better every season. And I don't think you can ever count a guy out, no matter who he is. And I'm expecting myself to come in there and try to make some noise, but other guys to be ready to go too, and especially the goaltender. And I know goaltenders especially feel like they have something to prove every single year and every single game. So it'll be exciting to see.
Now, you said that for a while the Islanders were on your radar. Was it the core that they were building? Was it the history behind the team and the 4 Stanley Cups? Or was it a little bit of everything?
What was that, sorry?
When you earlier you had said the Islanders had been on your radar for a while. Was that because of the core that they were building? Was it the history with the 4 Stanley Cups and the rivalry with the Rangers? What was it? A little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. Like I said, you could see the team that they're trying to build. It was a fast-paced, highly offensive team with a good decor, good goaltending. I mean, it was just kind of, I think injuries kind of took some of that away. So from what I hear from other guys, you guys had a rough year last year with injuries. I think every team in the league has their fair share, but sometimes when you have an injury-riddled season, it's tough to grab momentum. And I think, like I said, seeing how they're building their teams every year, the type of guys they're bringing in, obviously playing against Tavares, how skilled he is, how good of a player he is, and good leader. They've been on the right path for a long time, and it's time to kind of break through that wall.
Yeah, and obviously Tavares being the #1 injury last year, being hurt in the Olympics. I mean, you lose him. You don't want to sit there and say that the season was done, but I mean, in the back of our minds, we knew what a tough hill it was going to be to climb.
Yeah, especially from the Olympics.
Yeah.
Just to kind of switch gears a little bit, Jack, we've talked a lot about the hockey stuff, but when you signed with the Islanders, you notice now with social media, it's so easy to notice. There was a lot of comments about the type of person that you are, doing work with a lot of charities and stuff. I know Team 25 was really a big proponent of the Islanders bringing you in and saying you guys are getting a great character guy. And anybody who's followed this team knows that the Islanders are always involved with the community. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about some of the community work that you've done throughout your career and some of the charities you've helped, just to get people to know you a little bit better.
Well, Team 25, obviously that's a big one. Joel Harvey and his family, he's part of Team 25. They live in Dubuque, Iowa, and they come and visit me in Madison whenever they can. Obviously, I've lost touch with them over the last 2 years just because of I didn't go to the event, to weddings, and I guess I'm getting old enough to where all my friends are getting married, and I got to be a part of it. So, they came this summer. We had lunch together, and it's really AT is a disease that Team 25 takes care of, and it's when you go to these events that Sean Podine runs, it's incredible. These kids, they're in a wheelchair. It's really bodily functions are kind of out the door. It's just, but mentally they are there. Mentally they're there, and it's just like you can have a conversation with these kids, and it's like you can look into their eyes and you can tell that they know exactly what's going on. They're not. It's got to be so frustrating, and it's like you can do nothing but feel for them and want to help these kids out as much as you can. And it's very emotional every single year when Sean speaks, especially, and because he has so much passion towards it. But one year at this event, you hook onto a family, you hook onto a kid that's close to you, and Joel is the kid that I hooked onto because he was so close to me, being in Madison. But it's a good experience. Also, when I was in Florida, for the team and for the Panthers, we went to do a pediatric cancer unit in the hospital, and I met this little kid named Christian, and he was 2 years old, and he had leukemia, and it was kind of, I remember playing floor hockey with him in the hospital, and there's pictures of it, but it was really a big time eye opener because this kid was going through the battle of his life at 2 years old. Jeez. But the first time I saw him, he's smiling ear to ear, and it was kind of, it was just like, puts everything in perspective. When life gets tough, whether it's hockey, whether it's off ice things, whatever. You got to remember people that are going through something like that, their families, everybody's affected by it, and just played floor hockey with this kid and just learned to love him as a kid, and like a little brother of mine, and through the process of time, he ended up beating it, and it was just awesome to see. I had him come to the game, had him come downstairs to the locker room, showed him around, introduced him to the boys, introduced him to the GM and training staff, everybody, and it was unreal. It was just a cool experience, and I made some wristbands for him too, and I don't know if they've continued them. His mom continued them since I've left, but made some wristbands, and hopefully she was able to sell some of them and make some money to either go to medical payments or just donate to leukemia research in general.
Yeah. Oh, and we touched on it before, our breakaway to Disney. You've been very good about retweeting it and letting people know about it. So we wanted to take the opportunity while we're on the charity work to say thank you for helping us get the word out there. It's very much appreciated.
No problem at all, guys. Anything I can do to help.
Yeah. Now you went and played in Columbus. You've been in Florida, Miami, and now you're here on Long Island, and the Islanders moving to Brooklyn. Right now we're still kind of considered, we're sort of small market until we get to Brooklyn. Obviously Columbus considered small market, but what is the adjustment like going from Columbus, Ohio to Long Island, where you're 25 minutes on a train into the city?
Oh, rent.
Rent?
There you go.
Absolutely, all the rent, man.
Rent.
Yeah, rent. You go from a college town to the Big Apple, basically. Rent's going to be a little bit higher, but no, for me, like I said, I've always said in my career, said to my fiance, I've said to my family that I'd like to end up in New York someday. And I didn't really think it was realistic. I didn't, obviously being drafted by Chicago, then playing for Florida was kind of, I thought that I would stick with at least one of those, two teams, and then going to Columbus, had the same feeling in the summer. So I've never really thought of it as a realistic thing until I actually signed and did it. So I'm excited, and I know, that things are going to be a little bit more expensive. There's it's just going to be a lot of fun. I know the guys on the team, a few of them that I've met so far, great guys. They've talked highly about the organization. They've talked highly about the area of living and how much they enjoy it off the ice. So I'm certainly ready for it, and I know my fiance is too.
Sure. Now you played in Florida for the Panthers. It's considered a non-traditional hockey market, and there's so many debates going on right now about keeping teams in what they consider traditional hockey markets, and a lot of people were not thrilled when the Islanders moved into the Barclays Center because it's close to the Rangers, the building's too small, yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, you played in that environment. What do you think about what people would call a non-traditional hockey market? Can hockey work there, and what is the fan base like?
I wouldn't agree with that at all. I mean, if you're comparing it to a place like Florida, you got to think of Florida. Everybody that lives in Florida is from somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have people from New York, you have people from Quebec, you have people from Philadelphia, you have people from everywhere. So in Florida, you know, you had your home games where you'd be playing against Montreal and it'd be a sellout crowd, but all Canadians fans.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to be the case in Brooklyn. So I think, you know, there's two different, you know, you can say, yeah, it's not traditional, but from what I hear from the media and everything, it sounds like the city of Brooklyn in general is really excited to have a team, and I mean, it's going to be a great building. It's going to be loud, and it sounds like it's going to be a good setup for the boys too.
Yeah. No, we did go to the preseason game, and we thought it was fantastic. Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Sunday night. You know, it's getting late, and we appreciate you coming out. You know, this is your time off. You guys are getting ready to go to camp in a couple of weeks, so we appreciate you taking the time and coming out and hanging out with us tonight.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. For Chris Hessel, I'm Sean Croft. We're all Islanders, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.